Hi all. In this video, let's learn about data types in JavaScript. A value in JavaScript is always of certain type. So usually there are 8 basic data types in JavaScript. Let's learn more about these data types. So if you declare a variable like message and you assign some value to that. So now this is good. Okay. After some lines of code, so if you assign and not a string value, initially you have assigned a string value, and after some time, if you assign a numeric value to the same variable, there is no error, will not get any error here, because in this state, it is a string value. After few lines in this state, we are assigned a number. So now this type of this variable is number. So there won't be any error here. This is because JavaScript is dynamically typed. What does it exactly mean? So in JavaScript, data types will be existing, but variables are not bound to any of the data type. It's not like if you assign a value, it is just bounded to that type, not to any of other type. It's not like that because JavaScript is a dynamically typed. So this is the reason what about the data types, and there are 8 basic data types in JavaScript. Let's learn one by one. The first step is number type. So all the floating numbers and integer numbers. So these are the integer numbers, these are the float numbers. So these two are considered as a number type. Okay. So all the mathematical operations, what all the operations you can perform on the mathematical operations in this number type. So they are safe. It means the script will never stop if you have any of the mathematical issues. So for example, divided by 0 or any of the mathematical calculations, if you are doing, the script never stops. It will not complain to you. At the worst stage, you will be getting not a number, NaN. You'll be getting that type. So that's the reason. So I have just wanted to mention the mathematical operations will not stop the script. So number type is one of the major type we'll be using. So this is the one. And coming to the second part is begin. So earlier, usually with the number type, we can calculate all the mathematical operations, everything. This big int was introduced in ES6 because the number type is should be it will be larger than 2 power 53 minus 1 and smaller than minus 2 power 53 minus 1. So the value will be existing between these values itself, the number type. But as the as a technology evolves, we need a number which is greater than this limit. So this is not, this is a technically a limit. So we want numbers more than this for the applications like cryptography and microsecond timestamps. So to calculate and to measure these type of microsecond timestamps and cryptography, we need a number which is more than this range. So that's the reason in ES6 we got the big int, a new data type. So how to define or how to see whether it is a big int or not? So I can define a number like this, and I can give a big number as such as big number you can use, and just at the end give it as n. So now it is considered as a big int. This number is considered as a big int. So in this way you can use the big int in your application. So this is the second data type. Coming to the third data type and majorly used data type is string. We know any value which is defined in between a double quote or in a single quote is considered as a string. So that is a common one we know. So along with this, we also have backticks. So these are some of the extended functionality. So for example, you have a variable like this. You have assigned a variable like this, and you want to access that in the console, or if you want to pass any of the expression, so you can use this as a tilde operator. This is a tilde operator, and backticks also we can call this. Here, this what happens here in this, you if you mention dollar sign and if you give this one, it will evaluate the expression which is given here. So also this is considered as a string. So this is the third way of declaring a string with the dynamical values with the expressions. So for example, I have declared a string like this. Also, I have declared a dynamic value here, expression here. So now what happens, it will calculate, it will evaluate the expression in between this, and it will give the result in a string, because you can use the strings with the backticks as well. So this is the reason this is the third way of declaring the strings. So this is the third type and majorly used type, string type. So coming to the Boolean type. So this is the fourth type. So in this Boolean type, we will be having only two values like true or false. So where we can use or where we can see this Boolean type is in the case of comparisons. If you're comparing any value, for example, here we have the 4 is greater than 1. So if this is true, then in is great, you will be getting true as a value. If this is not true, this comparison is not true, then this will return false value. So it will have neither true nor false. Any of the one value will be there. Majorly, we'll be getting this type when you're comparing two values. So coming to the falsy values. So in JavaScript, the falsy values, you need to know these falsy values for sure, because based on these falsy values only the conditions will execute or not. For example, if you have a if condition, if the condition is fails because one of this value will be existing in that value, that's the reason that if condition may fail. So that's the reason you need to understand this all the falsy values. So zero, false, single quote or double quote, empty string we can call this, and null, nan, and undefined, these are the falsy values. So if any of these values comes in any of the condition, that means it is a false condition. It will not go into that loop or that block. So you need, this is very much important. So this is the fourth type, Boolean type, which is important. We'll be using writing major conditions with this Boolean type. So coming to the fifth type. So this is a special data type. We call this as undefined. What does this undefined means? It means a value is not assigned. So for example, in JavaScript, if you declare any variable like this, let age is equal to, you have not declared any value, just you have left like this. If you declare a variable and if you not assign any value to that, JavaScript by default, it will assign an undefined value to this. So this is a main difference we need to understand between undefined and null. So this means if you declare a variable and if you not assign any value, JavaScript by default will assign it an undefined value. Okay, this is about undefined. So majorly, if you get any variable or function, if you say in the errors, if it comes as this function or this variable is not defined, it means you have not defined any value to that variable. So that is the case. Most of the times you see this undefined as an errors. So in that case, you need to understand you have a variable, but you are not assigning any value to that, but you are trying to access that as a value. So, or you, if you have an object, if you don't have an object property and you're trying to access that object property, then you will be getting this undefined errors mostly. So this is of fifth type. So coming to the sixth type, null type. This is also special type. So null means this is a special object. So this is a special object. The type of null is an object. So the reason why the type of null is an object, I have done a special video in interview questions series. You can refer that. So coming to the null type. So null type, what does it exactly refer means? It will refer to an non-existing object. So you have an object. If you are declaring let a variable or an object, so if you assign null, it means you're explicitly assigning or referring a variable to null. Means you don't want to access this. It means the age, if you consider age as an object, you don't want to refer this object to any of the existing object. So that's the reason we are assigning this to the null. It means now this will not refer to any of the existing object. We need to give this an explicit value null, whereas undefined, the difference is undefined means you're not going to assign it. It will automatically set if you're not assigning any value. So that's the major difference between this null and undefined. And this null means you do, if you don't know which value you want to assign initially, so you can give this as a null value. Or sometimes you can if you don't want to access, or you don't want an object to take memory, then you can assign a null value. So in those cases, this null will help us. So this is a sixth data type. Coming to the seventh data type, the data types which we have discussed are primitive data types, above data type. So it means only you can use them with a single value, like a number and a string, boolean. Those are only single values. Those are considered or to be set as a single values. So sometimes we can't only go with the primitive data types. We need a data type with the complex structure. So in that case, you can use this object. So object structure would be in this way. So you can define an object, and in the flower base, you can define as many of key value pairs. Okay, you can define the key here, and you can define the values. So these are the key and these are the values. Name is a key property, and this is a value property. So you can create a complex data structure with the object. So this is considered as an object now. So all the key properties by default, there will be converted into strings, and the values can be of any type. It can be string, number, boolean, anything, and even an object also can be an here as a property. So this is a brief about object. So coming to one more naming convention property. In my earlier video in the variables, I have said that the let, for example, let return is equal to 10. So this is not a valid variable name because return is a reserved word in the JavaScript. So this is not a valid JavaScript variable. So that is what we have discussed in the earlier video, in the variables video of JavaScript. But while you are working with the object, so you can define the let. So reserve words can be used as a keys. You can define like this. There is no harm here. So you can define all the reserve words as a keys here. So there won't be any problem. So that's a point I want to just say. So coming to the eighth data type. So this is a special data type, that is a symbol. So this means how to define a symbol like that. We can see like, so let id is equal to symbol. So this is how you're just defining a symbol. So you'll be defining a symbol. This is how we can define a symbol. So you can add some description like this id. So why we use symbols basically? So the need of this symbols is like, if you have an library. So I have done a dedicated video on understanding and overview of these symbols. I will keep that video's link at the end card and in the above cards as well. So here will understand in a detail or in a basic of the symbol data type. So we have an object. In this object, the key will be string. Okay, even if you not mention it as a string also, automatically this key will be converted into a string. Whereas symbol is a unique identifier. So if you define something like this, so this id is a unique. So even if you declare the same thing also, it will give the different id. So each time if you use a symbol, it will give us an unique identifier. So that's the reason we'll use in the object key. Till now we can only use the strings, but we also can use the symbols as a object key. So what's the usage of these symbols? So for example, you have a library. So this is a third party library. In this library, you have a key and property. Key and its value. You have a key and its value. You want to modify the third party library, and you have decided, and you have you have added one more id property here, and you have assigned 5 as its value. So later in the new versions of this library, what happened? They have decided to add a property called ID. They also thought of adding the same property. ID as the same property. They also thought of adding the same ID property. And now if they assign any value, what happens? This value will override. This 5 will go and we'll be having only 6. So now that's the reason we will be using these symbols as a keys to mention an unique identifier. For example, now I have declared a library with the symbol ID and I assigned a 10 in our code. Later in this library, third party library, so they have decided to create a new property with the same ID with a different value. Then what happens? This value will not override the above value. Both will be coming there. So let's see that example. So here we may get some errors because of multiple times we have declared the same variables. So let me comment few of the lines so that we'll not get any errors. Yeah, mostly we may not get any errors now. So let's see the difference. So here what I'm trying to explain is symbol we use to mention or define a unique identifier. If you have a third party library, and if you want to add your own property to that library and you assign a value, then that value will be in this. In the later versions, if you want to add, if that library tries to add a property with the same ID, same key, then the above value would be overridden. Whereas coming to here, this will not override. Because you are using the symbol with the ID, this symbol will anytime it will return an unique identifier. So that's the reason if you print here, it will, these two values will come because this will not override. Whereas here it will only come 6 because 5 would be overridden with this 6. So let's see that. So here you may see, yep, at the below you may see. So you are getting in the library, you have a name and you have only ID as 6. 5 value was overridden by 6. Whereas the symbols, you can see both the symbols you are getting, because the key here is a symbol, means a unique identifier. It will not override. So in these use cases, we can use symbols. So this is all about the symbol data type. Hope you like the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more videos.